Are there bears there that you have to watch your ass for bears and stuff?
There are black bear, and I've had the pleasure of walking in on a couple of those, and they're very kind to let you know that you're intruding. Moreover, though, the animal that always gives me the jitters.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Knights Pad podcast. I've got like my American Irish brother from another mother on right now, Rob Leahy. What's up, my brother?
How are you, Matt?
Doing
good to be here.
Thank you. So we're going to get to know Rob a little better. I'm going to ask him some questions I've been dying to know, but something about Rob, when he's one of those rare human beings, and I'm sure a lot of you folks can relate. And I was talking to someone else about Rob today, and I'll kind of share that too. But when I met Rob and started getting to know Rob a little better, it's just something about his personality and his vibe. And when I was talking to someone else about Rob today, I was like, it kind of reminded me, we were talking about you, it kind of reminded me of junior high. When you see somebody and you're like, I want him to be my best friend, and I want to be his best friend too. So it was like, I really like Rob, and I want him to be my best friend. I want to be his best friend too. But anyway, you just really
I got the cool shoes on.
Yeah. So it's like, man, I love having you on. Appreciate you being here. But let's let the audience get to know you a little bit. So where did you grow up? Where are you from? What were you into in school? And what did you get into? Let's go back to Rob.
Right on, man. Happy to do that with you. So I grew up in a town in New Jersey, in Hudson County. It's a blue collar town, Bayonne, New Jersey. For all you fight fans that go back a ways, it's the home of the Bayonne Bleeder, Chuck Wepner, and he is actually the impetus for the Rocky stories. So Sylvester Stallone watched this fight between him and Muhammad Ali and sat down that night and wrote Rocky. So there's some great stuff on there. That's a little bit of a tangent. Go out and check that out. ESPN did a great piece on him. And there's some stuff on Netflix about Chuck. And Chuck and I are actually still good friends to this day. So He's a family friend. So that's kind of like it. That's kind of like the vibe of that town. It's definitely it was a rough and tumble, blue collar town, a lot of longshoremen, a lot of industry, that sort of thing. I went to school in Jersey City, New Jersey. That's where I went to high school, a little Jesuit high school, St. Peter's Prep. And there I played football, and I actually swam for St. Peter's Prep, which I would say to most people's astonishment that was my best sport. I did play some rec league baseball and softball and such. What else you want to know from there?
So, like first with the swimming, how tall are you, Rob?
Oh man, at the time or now?
Well, at the time, yeah, because
at the time I was probably 5'6" or 5'7" as a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So
not necessarily the long, lanky swimmer's body, but that was your
not built for the sport. Yeah. Not built for the sport, but I actually did glean a scholarship and went on to swim. However, that said, my first year at the NCAAs at the preliminaries, that's when I was truly exposed. I mean, so for a year, worked as hard as I possibly could and swam more yardage than I had ever possibly swum before, and got totally smoked. And I knew then and there, like that was it. I've reached the pinnacle. And that was the last time I swam competitively. I said, I'm done. This is ceasing to be fun at this point. I am never going to be able to catch these guys.
So that's awesome. So that's a good transition. That's a good place to start. So from high school, you became a college athlete and you went, with swimming, but what were you planning on studying in college? What did you start studying aside from where was your head? Especially when the sports side ran out, you weren't going to be a professional swimmer. Where'd you transition? Where'd you go?
Oh, right on. So honestly, that freshman year, it was just, liberal studies. I was taking the gamut because I really wasn't sure of who I was or what I wanted to study. When I gave up the scholarship, I actually transferred schools. And at that point in time, one of my college buddies, who I'm still friends with today and was on the swim team, he grew up in Brooklyn. We actually were out together one night, and just in terms of talking, we were at a local bar and happened to sit down next to this guy that was a Navy SEAL.
Wow.
So this was 1987.
Okay.
And at that time, I mean, there weren't the movies, and I mean, if you knew about, obviously it wasn't an internet.
Right.
So if you knew about the Navy SEALs, you had firsthand knowledge. Like you probably bumped into somebody that was a Vietnam vet or something of that sort. Because I mean, I can literally still remember looking over and say, "What is that? What's a Navy SEAL?" You know?
Yeah. Right.
And so he started talking about it, and we were both like, "Hey, that's pretty cool." He put us on a path for that. It was called, at the time, it was called a Fast Start Dive program. I didn't make it through. I had a couple of injuries that kind of blew that plan up for me. My buddy ended up actually making it all the way through and just retired as a captain 3 or 4 years ago. And at one point in time was the highest ranking Navy SEAL in Iraq. So kind of a cool deal.
Wow, dude. Wow.
Yeah. And we're still tight. We're still thick as thieves to this day.
Sweet. So I knew you rubbed elbows with some of the America's finest and some of the military elite, but that right there, that answers that question.
I have. I've bumped elbows with a bunch of really, really cool dudes. And it's whatever it was, it's that path of life. I never really sought that out. Oddly enough, it just kind of spins, and you talk about the universe and universal attraction. One way or another, I end up at their doorstep. So it's always kind of odd and weird. And I would never ever say that I'm at that level. Obviously, it's never something that I did or attained. However, just to be in and around and have fun with those guys has been an absolute honor and a blessing in my life.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was a firearms instructor at Thunder Ranch, which was in Mountain Home, just outside of Kerrville. I was never a SWAT guy at Dallas PD, but I was a SWAT guy, small, department, Kerrville. But being a firearms instructor at Thunder Ranch, working for Clint Smith, I mean, we had SEALs come out, Green Berets, FBI hostage rescue, all these, and I got to rub elbows with a ton of those guys, and then we got to do some really cool stuff being instructors there. And our little SWAT team was like so highly trained. It was pretty awesome. But you know as well as I do that once you respect those guys, but you're not, you can have any normal conversation because they're men just like we are. They just do some incredible stuff, and they put their pants on one leg at a time like us. But once you have that, it's amazing. You talk about like the law of attraction and vibrationally like putting out some vibes and stuff like that. Is you can pick these guys out and you're like, oh, that dude's over there just eating nice and he's looking down, but you don't want to mess with that dude.
Yeah, for the most part, you're absolutely right. You can pick them out. And then there's those other guys, that they walk in that gray zone. You look at a guy and he's 5'5", 145, 150 pounds, and you don't think very much about him. And it turns out that, he was in DevGru and did a lot of stuff. And he's got a chest full of ribbons for some of the things he did. And you're like, oh, that guy, you're that guy. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you never can measure somebody by.
No, absolutely not.
There's no test for what kind of heart people have. I've learned that sometimes the hard way.
Yeah. Absolutely. That was a lesson for me as a police officer too, is never judge a book by its cover. My greatest martial arts instructor, he had diabetes. He had this big old belly on him, and he was probably 5'6", but he was he was so fast and so badass. That was one thing I had to learn, is not to judge a book by its cover. And when I was a police officer, it was kind of easy to do. You're like, oh, look at this fat, out of shape piece of shit. He might be on drugs or whatever else, and it'd be the worst damn fight you ever had in your life. Or some skinny rail dude that you're like, man, I'll break this guy like a twig. But he knows some stuff and he's wiry. And it's like trying to give a bobcat a bath, and you're in the worst fight of your life as well. So yeah, I learned that real quick. Don't judge a book by its cover. So
Been there, man. Been there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about, well, first of all, I also want to talk about when I talked to that other person about you today. I said, tell me what you think of Rob. And he goes, oh man, Rob, he's an anchor. He's a rock solid dude, and he's calm. And when I thought calm, I thought coolness under fire, because he said he's actually been in some situations with you where panic could have set in and you were pretty calm, cool, and collected. And then you're pretty quiet, but you'll get this reference. You're kind of like that commercial when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen, right? So you're pretty quiet, but when you talk, you pretty much everybody shuts up and they listen to you. So how did you develop all that rock solid anchor?
Getting back to your question, it was that learning that peacefulness, right? Calming the waters. Where did that come from? Yeah. Well, I can assure you, if you talk to people that knew me 25, 30, 40 years ago, that was not the case. You know, I would say that I was very reactive and very volatile, and I can be still now. I mean, that fuse will go off. It happens. That said,
yeah,
working, and I know we're going to bounce back a little bit here and there. I started working for a seminar company back in 2005. PSI Seminars. They're the oldest continual running seminar company in America. And that's where I really started to do some introspective work. And that's where I would say that things in life changed for me, where I started my personal transformation. So that's the long and short of it is tens of thousands of hours of introspective work in various different venues and avenues and mediums. What I exposed myself to in terms of literature, workshops, whatever the case may be, where I discovered that, you know, that's not a behavior that is efficient and effective for me. And you start to, once you start to develop that awareness where you look around and everybody around is like, whoa, I don't want to be around that guy, or, you know, you just don't know what's going to happen, what's going to set the volcano off. It was easy to say that's something that I want to change, because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be known as that guy.
Yeah, mine really started. Yeah, it's been years and years of just trying to get better. And we'll talk about that at the end. What do you do now to become the most badass or best version of yourself as a man, you know, physically, mentally, and spiritually? We'll get into that, but that certainly kind of gives me the foundation for sure. All right, let's talk about how you got into hunting and guns, because I had a buddy of mine that was on my first podcast, and he loves to bird hunt. So he'd probably love to hear some of your hunting stories about what's your favorite birds to hunt, and then how you kind of got into hunting and some of your hunting stories. So let's kind of go with your interest in what all you hunt and all your different variations.
Oh, right on. Okay. To have these photo albums, and I'd go back and look at, you know, these deer camps, these hunting camps here in New Jersey from the early 1920s, 1930s, that sort of deal. And it was something I wanted to emulate. And I think it had less to do with the hunting and more to do with the example that he provided in my life. Like that was the guy that I wanted to be like, was my grandfather. It was always, he was my beacon, if you will. Then I started bow hunting in New Jersey just because it offered greater opportunities. You know, the gun hunting season in New Jersey is a week long, and that didn't fulfill the need, if you will. So I was like, okay, well, bow hunting is, a month or 2 months, whatever it was at the time. I'm going to go do that. And, so it just continued to evolve. And then once I moved out of New Jersey and moved out west, that's when my interest really blossomed and grew. That's now you're exposed to all types of different hunting, different seasons. You've got different animals to chase around.
Mm-hmm.
Elk, I still to this day love running after elk all over the mountainside.
Into bow hunting, you like
Yep.
you like the stalking aspect of it.
Absolutely.
You go after elk, bow hunting elk.
Elk, yeah, mule deer. Most of that experiences, or those experiences rather, were in Washington State, up in the central and northern Cascades. Which, if you've ever been, just walking around up there can be challenging.
I bet, yeah.
It's big timber, definitely big timber country.
Are there bears there? That you have to watch your ass for bears and stuff.
There are black bear, and I've had the pleasure of walking in on a couple of those, and they're very kind to let you know that you're intruding. Moreover, though, the animal that always gives me the jitters is the cougar or mountain lion.
Oh God, yeah.
And I've had 2 or 3 encounters where they were eyeing me up and looking to figure out whether or not I was a tasty snack or if I was something that should be left alone. So that's one of those things, especially when you're hunting, and anyone that hunts, you get very, very focused. It's very much tunnel vision when you're out chasing an animal in the mountains, and then something will happen. Like, for instance, on this one occasion, I was up one of these old logging roads that had on this slope that had been logged 30, 40, 50 years earlier. And I'd gone in about 7 or 8 miles, just creeping along, looking for sign. And on my way back out, there was a lion track that was literally on top of my boot.
Woo.
Half expecting him to be sitting there looking at me like I could have had you. So it's those moments though, you're like, man, I've got to be a little bit more aware. Yeah. So yes, I've had some moments in time, whether it was brown bear or black bear or cougars, where I was like, oh, you are not at the top of the food chain right here. Even wolves a couple times, which is, it's kind of cool to see and be around.
Yeah, so I got a buddy of mine I did my first podcast with, and he does hunting, and he likes to bird hunt a lot, but he and some buddies they all kind of co-own 80 acres, and there's some wolves and stuff that he sees. And, when he's out bird hunting with his dogs, he's got to be real careful. And, that's pucker factor too. He doesn't want a wolf tearing up his dog, and then he's got to try to go over there and get a wolf off his dog. And if there's more than one, holy crap, right?
Yep, sure. And that's actually become a true passion of mine. I guess, 10, 11 years ago, I got a couple of bird dogs and started down that path. And honestly, there's not much I'd rather do than chase pheasant or chukar or quail and just watch those dogs work. It is an absolute joy of mine.
What's your favorite dog for bird hunting?
Well, I'm gonna have to say mine.
Yeah,
I've got an English setter. She's 11 years old. And she's a real good dog. My all-time favorite dog, though, and we just put ours down a couple of months back, is a Chesapeake Bay Retriever. I've owned a couple of them, and I absolutely adore the breed. I adore the dog. I love their work ethic. They're just hard charging. They are just built for the job, right? They know what they're meant to do in life. There's never a question. And you never have to worry about performance with that animal. They had one gear out in the field, and it was go.
So they know what they were designed to do on this planet. Only if every human had that kind of clarity that a Chesapeake Bay Retriever has, right?
Imagine, yeah. Heck, I'm still working on that.
Yeah, right. Me too, man. Me too. So I talked to my buddy not too long ago about, and I asked him what are his favorite birds to hunt and what are his least favorite birds to hunt, or we can get down to what his least favorite birds to clean were. And I'm gonna I know what he said, and I want to see what you said.
Okay. Most challenging bird to hunt for me was the willow ptarmigan. And I've hunted them on the tundra in Alaska, and they're challenging because of the speeds. I mean, especially up there on the tundra. If you've ever been up there, Alaska is as you'd imagine. The winds will pick up. You get a 30, 40, 50 mile an hour wind, and now you're shooting at a bird that's flying by at 80, 90 miles an hour. It's amazing. And I'd gone up there for the first time, 2007, 2008, and we were hunting birds, and I was hunting with a buddy and next to me, and I was like, man, I was on that bird. I can't believe I missed. And he looked at me, he goes, well, how far are you leading them? I was like, at least 4 feet. He said, Rob, I'm out 15 feet in front of these birds. So it was just like, what? Like I've never had to swing that far out in front of a bird to put it down. So that would be the most challenging, most fun bird, I would think. That and probably pheasant. Our mutual friend, Todd Campbell, he's gracious enough to invite me, and he has on many occasions, to hunt with him and his family in Kansas for pheasant. And that's always a blast. And I think that's more of a camaraderie deal than anything else. You just have a lot of fun. The laughs are second to none.
Right.
Hardest to clean, I would say quail. Quail are brutal. And then the most challenging to hunt, in my opinion, is the chucker. And they're like a red-legged bird that originated from Spain. They're I want to say like a partridge.
Okay.
Medium-sized bird. And they're challenging just because of where they like to reside. They're usually on rocky outcroppings and the steep stuff. You'll find them along the Snake River in Idaho. That's there, or actually even where Thunder Ranch is there in Oregon, right? That's Southern Oregon. Isn't that where he is now, Clint?
Yeah. That's where he is now.
Yeah.
He's in Oregon. Yeah.
So down in that area, you'll find them up there in that hillside country. It's rocky. And I've heard this several times from a number of people, but an old timer that I was hunting with one time asked, the first time we got out, how I liked it. And I was enjoying myself, birds all over the place, running up and down the mountain. And he said to me, yeah, the first time is always fun. Anytime after that is for revenge. And I didn't really understand that until the end of the day, where, your feet are blistered up and you've fallen a couple of times, and you get up on a covey of chucker and they shoot right back down the mountain 700 yards or whatever, and you're just chasing them all day long. It almost is like they laugh while they're doing it.
Yeah.
So
what
was his answer?
So he basically bird hunts just in Minnesota. So I don't think he's had quite the wide variety of places where. But he likes hunting grouse and he likes pheasant as well. So,
Right.
But he hates cleaning duck and geese because all the fat and stuff, and it's super pain in the ass.
I actually didn't even think about that. Yeah, skinning and cleaning geese is a nightmare just because of all the plumage and everything else.
Yeah. So that he's like, and he says, and they're hard like you could hear the pellets bouncing off some of their chests because they're so damn armored. And it's like, God, no, I hit that thing. And then they're hard to bring down. And then once you bring it somewhat down, then it's a pain in the ass to clean. And so
I can empathize. And just again, a little diversion here in terms of that story. One of the last times I was out, I shot at some geese with 12 gauge, 3.5 Magnum BBs, and it was much the same. Like you knew you hit them or you'd wing them and they'd come down. And I actually went out and bought myself a 10 gauge. I was like, well, I got to up the boom on this stick.
Yeah, that's funny. That's awesome. He'll enjoy. Like I'm gonna geek out. He's one of my cop buddies I used to work with, and then he went back to Minnesota and he was on the SWAT team for 20. He was 22 years as as a squad leader. And then I think he was on the SWAT team for a total of 24 years. He was a cop for 29. But yeah, super great guy. But yeah, I can't wait for it because he watches a lot of the podcasts, and we have happy hour every other week where we'll meet up. And I'd love to have you have a happy hour with us, and we could get together and you guys could
Count me in.
Talk birds. But yeah, every other Friday we usually get together.
We got to get you out there. That's what we got to do. We got to get you out chasing some birds.
I've never been a big hunter, but between you and him, and it's like, well, crap, I want to hang out with my buddies. Now I'll maybe bird hunt with you guys, and y'all can
absolutely
baptize me, right? So cool, man. Sweet. Yeah, I was waiting for you to say, but then I saw the light bulbs go off when I said goose, and you're like, oh yeah, well, yeah, it's super pain in the ass. He's right. So,
yeah, he's absolutely right about that.
All right, so fishing. I love fishing. I haven't been fishing in a long damn time. That's something I'd love to do with you. But you just recently went up to Alaska, right? And did some fishing.
Yeah, I again super blessed. This is probably my 12th or 13th trip to Alaska. So yeah, I was just up there in August, and had some good fortune, got out on a halibut charter and was able to bring a ton of fish home, that makes everybody happy.
Yeah.
They don't want to go, but they're ready for the barbecue. They want to eat it.
Right. So I'll tell you a dad joke. So you went on that trip just for the halibut?
Pretty much. But I'm fun. So next year you're coming with me.
All right.
You're coming with me. I go to a spot up there on the Alaskan Peninsula. It's called the Sharif Lodge, and it's on the Egegik River. It's more remote than any place you'll find in Africa. It's probably 600 or 700 miles from Anchorage, to give you some perspective.
Yeah.
And it's not fishing, it's catching. So
awesome.
I apologize if you're there to show off your skills as a fisherman. You should just probably sit back at the lodge. This is a catching trip.
Sweet.
Literally, and when I say literally, I mean literally waves of coho salmon, a silver salmon, will come screaming through that river, like 100,000 to 400,000 at a time. So wow. It is a catching trip.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we go there. That's kind of like our meat hunt, where you just go to pack some fish boxes and come home, have a good time, and see some stuff that, I mean, people here us in the lower 48 would never see, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. No, I'd love to. I haven't been fishing in so long that, yeah, I wouldn't want to be disheartened by, my skills suck. So yeah, that sounds like a perfect fishing trip for me to just go catch. Like, yeah, I'm still a badass fisherman, right?
Exactly.
But my buddy, he lives in Minnesota, and what he would do, he and some buddies, and this is before COVID and all that shit, where Canada kind of, shut their borders down or whatever. But there, once a year, they would have to fly in with a boat with pontoons to this one lake and then get in their cabin. That's where they would do their fishing and hunting certain times of the year, just flying to Canada. But man, that Alaska trip sounds amazing. Sounds totally amazing.
All right. You're on the list, buddy.
Okay.
I got you in my sights for that.
All right, sweet. All right, brother, let's get down to the meat and potatoes. So
let's go.
What do you do as a man to become the most badass male version of yourself, physically, mentally, and spiritually? And I mean holistically, all those three things. Because yeah, I was maybe more physically badass as a younger man, but I wasn't the whole complete healthy man that I am today. So yeah, walk us through the physical. What do you do?
Well, here's the truth. And this is going to be hard for me to say. I haven't done anything physical in 3 years. I haven't seen the inside of a gym or a studio or anything in 3 years. And there's a legitimate reason behind that. Jennifer and I bought a house, and it was a complete gut job. So something in my life had to give for there to be some semblance of balance and get some stuff done. So all I have left is a kitchen of the 3,000 square feet. So I'm actually, I just joined the gym tomorrow. So there's that.
Okay.
And that's the honest truth. I was actually going to go down there today, and again, something came up where we had some furniture that we had ordered come in. I was like, oh, all right, well, off we go. Let's go and see what we got. So physically, that sort of thing. I'm a gym rat. I've always loved being in the gym. I do swim still, so I'll get in the pool. We're blessed enough to have a pretty decent sized pool here on the property. So all summer long, I get in there and goof around. Not as much this year, you know. I got to admit, my Chessie's name was Murphy, and once we lost him, it wasn't the same. He and I used to be in the pool on a regular basis last summer and swim around. Not having him though, it just was a different deal. So what else physically? I think for the majority of my life though, so that being physical in that aspect, you know, you're always up and down ladders and moving stuff and framing lumber and timber, whatever the case may be, that has a tendency to keep you in pretty decent shape. And at the same time, destroy your body. It's one of those yin and yang things, right? On the mental side, I actually just picked up this book. It's funny, it's sitting here. It's called The Warrior's Meditation. Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with this one.
No, I'm going to write that down. The Warrior's Meditation. Who's it by?
Richard L. Haight, Haight. And so one of my biggest struggles has been with meditative work. I don't know if I want to say I'm ADD or just getting my brain to slow down and shut down. It always seems like I'm on some sort of speed cycle, right? I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm that guy. Like, I've got this idea, I've got that idea. Here's where I'm going to be in a week. I want to do this in a month. 5 years from now, I'm going to be with this guy. We're going to do this. It's going to be great. So he's got a process, and he has deemed it TEM, and it is like a total meditation. And I've just started it, but he's got it's called the Total Embodiment Method. Okay. And it's something that in studying martial arts, he learned and is now teaching, so that you're able to calm your mind and get that clarity of purpose and vision at a much quicker pace, where you're not sitting and chanting. So he takes a lot of the periphery out, and teaches a method on how to get to it, get that tunnel vision, and become very purposeful in your meditation work. So that's what I'm looking at now for one of the things that I'm doing mentally to grow, to expand my horizons, if you will.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to pick that up and look at it, because it's something that I'm a student of it, and I've had ease of I've had success, and there's been other times where it's hard for me to concentrate, just like you. You know, I did when I did a podcast with Jeff Lerner, he was talking about just doing box breathing, just doing that, 5 seconds in, hold it for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, hold it at the bottom for 5 seconds, and he'll do that for a couple. And that's kind of a quick reset. My buddy Bill, that it was on the first podcast, he talks about it as well. And but yeah, that box breathing, that tactical breathing is pretty quick set. But yeah, no, I appreciate the heads up there. I'm going to pick it up. All right, spiritually, what do you do spiritually to be right with the man upstairs?
Spiritual. You know what? That one's always been easy for me. I was raised a Catholic, so I do my best. And let me back up. That's not true. I'm not going to say that it was always that way. I sometimes had my toes over the line in life. I've done that. However, for the most part, I definitely live my life with Christian values and principles. If somebody's in need, I give until it hurts, if that makes sense. I mean, that's just always how we've been and who we are.
Yeah.
I don't I don't practice spirituality in any sense. I don't follow the dogma of any religion.
Right.
I believe that there's one God and many paths. I've just seen too many, and we talked about this briefly in the past, where I've just seen too many different good people that, may practice a different religion to believe that there's anything but lightness and darkness in the world. And you choose the path that you want to the light.
Right.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing for me too, is I have this light that's just right on it. So it'll bump, it'll get brighter anyway. But, for me, what hubris would that be for us as human beings to think one particular religion or sect is better than all the others? When really you look at the commonality and the bleed over between all of them, and it's, hey, are you a good person or are you a bad person? Are you trying to do good things in the world? Or are you a shitbird that's selfish?
Simple as that. That's really as simple as it gets. Yeah. And you and I are probably the same way. And I tell people all the time, I choose my friends by their character. I choose my socks by their color. Anything else doesn't make sense.
Right. No, that's good. I like that. Let's see what else. Well, I've never done this before, so you can be the first one. Do you have any questions from me? You can put me on the spot.
Wow. I'm so unprepared for this. Yeah, I do actually. I have so obviously you're on a different path right now in your life. You've got your knight's path.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that don't know, you're really challenging yourself in a different way. You've taken on a model or medium in terms of transformative leadership, and how you and I know each other now.
Yeah.
With the coursework that you're involved with. What led you or what drew you to that? Because it's not something that is that I would say mainstream. Like, you and I can go on Instagram at any point in time and you're going to find something about tactical firearms or jujitsu or something about God or Christianity or Islam, whatever your faith is.
Right.
I mean, that's out there. That's mainstream. You can find that.
Yeah.
There's nothing really that you're going to find that's in any sort of social media that does what Entre does, Entre Institute, and that that trilogy of events that we offer. Right. There are very few companies that do it, and I'm going to say that few, if any, do it better. And I'm just open to the possibility that somebody could. I will put our product and our modality up against anyone. Absolutely. Bring it to the game. Let's go. Put us in the arena. We are happy to compare and contrast and show you what we can do. That's how good we are. I know we're that good.
Oh yeah.
And we're only getting better. So the question again is how did you find that? And what drew you to it? What led you to that path where you're like, the introspective Matt?
Yeah. So there's so many things. That's a great, deep question. And this is, it'll probably be a long answer, but that's cool. So for one, I was looking at my life. I was taking stock of my life. I'm quote unquote a successful guy. I make six figures, a good ways into the six figures. And, I'm the top 3% or top 4% of earners. If you make 100K of people in the world that make that kind of money. And then I'm looking and I happen to, I'm always introspective. I'm always, how can I be better mentally or spiritually? Physically, it's just hard work. I just got to put in the work and the effort. And I just want to remain at some level of capability. But I was opening my mind to some different things. And I really believe like the law of attraction I opened up a video that Jeff Lerner was on. It was like, And he happened to be talking about retirement and 401k plans. And then I was like, and I looked at my 401k plans and I'm like, the level of life that I live at discomfort. And then I'm looking at my 401k plans and like, if I retired today, how long could I go? Me and my wife and my daughter to support them. It wasn't very long. And I had a buddy of mine that was like, he's probably 10 years older than me. He was in his 60s and he was getting ready to retire. And I'm like, he's like, I probably need another year and a half. And I'm like, what does that look like? He goes, I got to have 6 million in the bank for me to be able to live at the level of comfort that I want to live on. And he really kind of opened my mind to the math. And then like my wife and I still want to do 2 European vacations a year, and we still want to live at this level of comfort. And based on how many years I plan on living, I got to have this much money. And I was like, whoa. And that's when I was like, I got to do something. I got to do something now. And, you know, I'm good at my job. I like helping people. I'm in the safety industry. It keeps people safe, whatever. But then I was like, I started digging into Entre, and I just started just checking the boxes and saying, yes, yes, yes. And then when I found out about the seminars and I started really fine tuning what my business model looked like, I'm like, oh, this again is everything lining up in the universe. And it's like, my offer, how am I going to differentiate myself from anybody else on the internet is, yeah, you got people that do martial arts, you got people that do all kinds of firearms stuff. And, you know, like my offer is going to be anywhere from, it's a combination of martial arts and firearms. I don't see a whole lot of people doing that. And then I'm going to have at least 2 biannual seminars where we put all those pieces together, because there's only so much you can do online. You know, watching some on an online course or something like that, you got to do stuff in person. So I was like, yes, yes, yes. And then being open and introspective, I can watch the badasses at Entre Institute do it and pull it off. And then I get to learn from you guys. I get to learn from the best and make friendships like you along the way. And it's a friggin' win-win. So it's like, holy shit, I get to learn from the best. And it's amazing how one decision and being open can just, whoa, and you're just like, wow, this is meant to be. So
Right on. Well, I'm speaking from I am looking forward to dropping nuggets on you for the remainder of our friendship and life.
Absolutely. I can't wait. So, man, thanks. That was the first time I let someone ask me a question on the spot, and that was a damn good one. That was a doozy. And man, I appreciate you, brother. So what's next? Like you've got, I talked to that mutual friend of ours earlier today. You guys got like a really aggressive seminar schedule through May, right?
Absolutely, we do. Yep.
So you've got 1 or 2 a month.
do.
I think you might have 3 in 1 month. You guys are going to be busy.
We're at it. Yep. I racking up the air miles, as they say, you know?
Yeah. So what's
good stuff though? All good stuff. You know, that's the stuff that keeps us moving along. Once you start to see that this pipeline is getting full of people that are really moving and transforming in their life. And what's funny is, you know, Jen and I today, when we were out, we were driving along, and she was talking about different people that she talked from Insight, which is the foundational class, and hearing like months later that they're pretty much still where they were. Like they really, that there was awareness. However, there was no movement. And she said, well, why is that? And it's really because that's all that is. The Insight is the foundational component. It is the awareness class. That's where you learn about the programs that don't work for you, or the thought processes that don't work for you, or the behavioral patterns that really don't serve you anymore in life. And then you have an opportunity to do something different or not. And I'm not saying that you have to stay within that Entre pipeline. There are lots of different ways to say, okay, now I know this about myself. What am I going to do about it? How do I change this? How do I make a lifestyle change that supports where I want to go? The thing about the Entre Institute and their trilogy of classes is that it's a rocket ship. And I know that you can attest to this. Yeah. I mean, you saw firsthand what that next level, that impact does. Yeah. People's lives were transformed forever. Like it's not like, oh, this lasts for a couple of days of rah, 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 you are the best, and now we step back to point A. That's not what we do. That's not how things operate in our system. Right. You go from here to there. And I'm witnessing it just in testimonials that I'm looking at Facebook or what have you, where people are saying, like, I cannot believe how far I've come in 4 weeks, or the things that used to hold me back, right, where the things that didn't serve me are not there anymore. It's just, it's mind blowing to people once they go through that system and you start to see what's really truly possible. And that's why we do it. I mean, it really is. It's not about a dollar sign. And people sometimes, Matt, I got to be honest, they're shocked to find out that I don't get paid when people sign up. Like, no, I'm salaried. I don't get a commission when Matt Kelly decides to go from this. No. They pay me. They pay me very well for what I do. And I have great joy in doing it. I have great joy and passion. I love to see people win. I love to see people go from point A to point B in the most linear, quickest time imaginable. It's like, how do I get you to your dreams and goals as fast as we can? And the truth is, we've got a great system. It's an amazing system and it works. And it's easy to stand on your rock once you have that, right? If you have something you believe in, if you, as a firearms instructor, I am sure that there's a firearm that you love. There's something that you're probably a fan of, and you're not going to get pushed off that, even though Jimmy Johnson says, no, this is a piece of junk and I won't use it. Like, you know that it's effective. You just know that, hey, it didn't work for you for whatever the reason is. The reason's probably you, because this is a fantastic firearm. This is a great weapon system.
Absolutely. That was like, if anyone had problems with so I used to ride Harleys a lot. A lot of people would bitch about Harleys, the good and the bad. I said, or they don't handle as well. And I said, it's probably the loose screw between the handlebars and the seat, which meant,
Exactly.
It was the rider, right?
Exactly. Right.
So there you go. No, I love the passion. I love it. I'm trying to become volunteer staff for Impact in February. If I get picked, are you going to be there? We're going to be able to hang out.
Absolutely. And there is no try, only do.
That's right. There you go.
It's the Yoda mentality.
Yoda mentality.
Let's get rid of that word. So yeah, once we're offline, we're gonna do something. I'm gonna work with you on a couple of little things that you're gonna implement in your life, and you're gonna have tremendous difference immediately after we do this.
Hell yeah, brother. Appreciate it. Hey,
kind of like a tweak, right? Like you see someone's grip on a pistol, and you know that platform doesn't serve them.
Yep.
I've got a little tweak. I got a little tweak for you that's going to serve you very well.
All right, buddy. I can't wait. So, hey, thanks so much for being on here. Everybody, I can't wait to hit stop recording so Rob and I can talk offline. And I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been great having him on here. And hell, we'll have you on again maybe after February when we've been co-staff together and we get to bond even more.
I'd love that. This way we can track my own personal progress too. So I'm definitely going to write some goals down over this weekend, and because I'm absolutely 100% serious. I'm literally going to the gym in the morning and I'm signing up and getting myself back in the program. So I'm more than happy to share, my results over 120 days with you and whoever else might be interested.
Hey, by the way, man, my wife designed a HIIT workout, high intensity interval training. I'll share all that stuff with you. And I did it before. I'm doing it now. It's 26 minutes tops. It's a ball breaker, but you'll get in fantastic shape, and you can do it from the house, and all you need is a friggin' kettlebell.
Beautiful.
So anyway, I'll share that with you. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Matt.
You bet.